How do you become an astronaut? It is a question you may have asked yourself while watching sci-fi movies about space or documentaries about astronauts, about how courageous and awesome they are, and perhaps it is your biggest dream becoming one of them. Or maybe you're just curious. In both cases, in this video, you'll get the answer to that question. First of all, you'll discover what a life of an astronaut looks like, because honestly, not everyone can tell what an astronaut does precisely. And then you'll find out everything it takes to become one. And who knows, maybe one day we will see your name on the newspapers as the first human on Mars. So wherever you are watching this video right now, at the school, on the bus, at home, on the toilet, just make yourself comfortable and prepare to learn everything you ever needed to know on how to become an astronaut. So, what are astronauts? To begin with, being an astronaut is not a profession. It is a job that you do for a certain period of time. When needed, space agencies recruit new astronauts. Usually from 10,000 applicants, only about 10 are selected. Yeah, only the best from the best are chosen. So what happens when these lucky 10 get selected? Fly to space the next week?
Nope.
A mission to space requires an enormous amount of preparation. And for one mission, astronauts train for 7 years. 7 years. Yeah, it isn't easy at all. But how does the training of an astronaut look like? Let me answer that right away. First part of the training, learning Russian. Indeed, Russian language is mandatory because it is one of the 2 official languages of the International Space Station, the other being English. Oh yeah, let's talk about this International Space Station. Known as the ISS, it is a giant space station the size of a football field, orbiting around the Earth at a speed of 8 kilometers per second. At this day, all of the space missions that include humans go to the ISS in order to perform many different kinds of experiments. But I'll talk about that later. Okay, so where were we? Oh yes, the training. So, after learning Russian for more than 1,000 hours, astronauts absolve these boot camps. They learn how to survive in every environment possible on Earth. That's in case if during their mission and their landing some things go wrong and they and their capsule that is supposed to bring them back home safely fall somewhere totally random on Earth. Other part of the training is a scientific training. During their mission, astronauts perform a lot of scientific experiments, which they learn how to perform here on Earth, in the training centers. To that, you of course add a training of piloting the spaceships, obviously, but the most important and exciting part of the training is the preparation for spacewalks. Spacewalks, as you can understand from the name, are walks in space. For once, astronauts get out of the space station and go into the space, into the vacuum, to repair something on the ISS or to install some equipment for experiments. Of course, they are attached at all times, but still, this is the most dangerous part of the mission and needs a lot of training. But how can you train for spacewalks here on Earth? In fact, we cannot recreate the exact same condition astronauts will have in space. That means no gravity. We can really get close to it underwater. And so in Johnson Space Center in Houston, USA, there's a real-size replica of the ISS lying underwater in the biggest indoor pool on Earth. And what is even more astonishing, that astronauts have to perform all of their spacewalk missions underwater in their 150-kilogram spacesuits. Of course, since the spacesuits are pressurized, they don't weigh that much underwater. It's more like swimming in a balloon. And of course, they are assisted by scuba divers. But still, these missions take between 6 and 7 hours, so it remains incredible. Okay, cool, so now you know how hard an astronaut trains. But what do astronauts really do? Why are we even sending them to space? Let me explain. After taking off and flying to ISS for more than 6 hours, they dock to the space station. They greet other astronauts, celebrate their arrival, and now what? Their mission starts now. They have usually 6 months, 180 days in space, and every day is planned very precisely. So astronauts don't have time to waste looking out of the window. They came there to work. And how does an astronaut's day look like? An astronaut work day starts at 6:30 a.m. and goes until 9:30 p.m. Throughout the day, they perform all kinds of experiments that can't be done on Earth. In addition to that, they have 2.5 hours of physical training every day. Yes, astronauts work out every single day. That is because in space there's no gravity, which is surely fun. They can type on a laptop sitting upside down, but it also has negative consequences. The absence of gravity doesn't put any pressure onto the muscles, so the bones don't have to do anything. That's why astronauts need to work out every day to keep the blood flowing in every part of their body and so they don't lose muscle mass. Their only free days are Sundays, where they can take time for themselves. Some bring musical instruments to space. For example, Chris Hadfield and his famous clip of Space Oddity by David Bowie performed in the ISS. As you can see, being an astronaut is extremely challenging and difficult, but at the same time, an incredible experience. But did you ever wonder how does a normal man or a woman become an astronaut? How to pass the selection tests made by space agencies? What to do in life to have a perfect profile to be a candidate? Do you need to be some sort of genius or mastermind? Or do you have to show heroic courage in war? Well, the truth is, it is more simple than it seems, if you know exactly what to do. And I'm going to tell you that right now. First, you have to make the initial cut. You have to have the basic criteria to even be selectable. The basic criteria are: be a citizen of a country with a space agency capable of sending humans to space. Yep, it is a hard to swallow pill if your biggest dream was becoming an astronaut and you belong to the wrong country. Be the right age. European Space Agency accepts candidates between 27 and 37 years old, and NASA, even though it doesn't have an age limit, past astronauts were between 26 and 46. The average is 34. Be the right height. Most of space agencies accept people between 155 and 190 centimeters. Have the basic physical requirements. That means a good blood pressure and an excellent vision of 20 out of 20. You can have glasses though, and getting laser operation is also okay. In addition, you have to be psychologically sound. You can't have any mental disorders. After all, if you become an astronaut and you get to go to space, you'll be locked in a small space with the same people for months, so you can't be aggressive or stubborn. Of course, you have to speak English fluently. But knowing Russian is helpful too, because as I explained earlier, Russian is one of the 2 official languages of ISS. Last one, knowing how to swim well. As you might remember, astronauts have hard training in which they practice underwater in their spacesuits. So if you don't know how to swim, it might be a bummer. So these are the basic criterion that you have to correspond to. But as you can imagine, there are plenty of people who would pass. So you have to have other qualifications to be selected, don't you think? First of all, succeeding academically, having excellent grades in high school and being a real good student at a good university. You have to have at least a bachelor's degree in math, physics, engineering, or science, even though most of astronauts have master's diplomas or PhDs too. After you get all of your degrees, 3 or more years of work experience is required. But you have to know that a master's degree counts as 1 year of experience and a PhD as 3 years. So you see why most astronauts had bigger degrees. When getting this professional experience, you should choose a job related to something an astronaut would do. Navigation, piloting, working with computers, science, or engineering. You might as well consider joining the military, because in addition to work experience, you'll get training experience, both physical and mental, and that will be valuable when you'll do the tests. That is about all that you should know in order to become an astronaut. Now all that is left is applying for the job, and if you have done everything I told you in the video, you'll be definitely chosen and you, yes you, will become an astronaut. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something about astronauts and maybe even made some of you consider becoming an astronaut. If not, well, never mind, being an astronaut is not for everybody. But I still hope that you're entertained and you discover something new. So, thanks again for watching. Peace.